So welcome everybody. A couple new faces on, so I'll introduce myself. My name is Jan Lehman. I'm the owner of CTC Productivity. And with me are my wonderful colleagues, Walter Jankowski and Nancy Kreschke. They are the brains of the operation. And if you haven't been following along, we've actually been doing this webinar series, I think coming up on a year now. I need to go back and check, but it was kind of right after COVID hit. And so if you like the session, just know there's a lot more like this out on our CTC website, and Nancy will enter that into the chat. You can go back and look at all the past recordings. We record all of them, so this recording will be out in a couple days. If you like the session again and you want to make sure you don't miss any future sessions, then you also probably want to sign up for our newsletter, and Nancy again will put that in chat. You'll make sure to be notified of any topics we have coming up. So let's see. So today we're going to be talking about bookings, FindTime, and Cortana. And I should back up. The whole series, what really the series is about is how to leverage Microsoft 365. And so today's session is specifically around using some of the tools in 365 for scheduling external meetings. And Walter and Nancy and I love this kind of technology. We're all really focused on how to drive productivity in organizations. And we always look for time-consuming repetitive tasks, and something like scheduling external meetings is something that takes a lot of time and it's repetitive. So all about leveraging technology to make that go faster. So perfect. So today that's the topic. Next month, the topic's actually going to be around boosting productivity for a remote workforce, in particular looking at training and some different apps. Walter's got a nice session planned for that one. And if you want to register for that, Nancy's going to enter the registration link in chat. And then in August, we may be here, just the three of us, and you all are going to be on vacation, but we decided to go ahead and do our session anyway. So it's going to be on OneNote templates, and Nancy's going to be running that one. So keep your eyes out there. Lots of great things. Again, time-consuming, repetitive, rather than create meeting agendas every time, creating templates that you can just pull in. That's the idea. So lots of different templates within OneNote. I'm going to do a couple slides I always do at the beginning to give you some perspective, and then turn it over to Walter. And we always talk about the Wall Street Journal shared a statistic about office workers not being as productive as we'd like them to be. And we track a lot of metrics in the work we do. And on average, CTC delivers at least like around a 10% bump in productivity. When we work with people, train people, do process improvement projects, the numbers can be significantly higher. But like on average, we deliver 10%, which on the surface sounds kind of small, but it's really getting a month back in a year. So that's pretty massive. So there's just lots of opportunity to use our technology and our time and our talent much more wisely. There's another stat we share quite often. We're all tech geeks, and we're all about leveraging technology. And so we always want to remind our clients, you put these huge investments out there, like most of you are probably paying for Microsoft 365 and probably using about 1% of the functionality. We are not advocates of just using technology just for the heck of it. We really look at what are your business issues, what are the kinks in your workflow, how can we streamline that workflow by plugging in technology, and so we're super excited about the Microsoft 365 suite of tools. They actually refer to it as their productivity suite, and we couldn't agree more. So excited about that. So I'm going to turn it over to Walter, and just if you are new on the call, we tend to kind of go through the topic and then open it up for Q&A, just so we make sure we get through all the content. So as you're going through, if you have burning questions, go ahead and just enter it into chat or write it down, and then we'll open it up for Q&A at the end.
Awesome. Thank you, Jan. Welcome. Today is all about everyone loves setting up that external meeting and trying to get 6 cats all herded into one spot. That is, from a consultant standpoint, that's probably one of the hardest part of our jobs, right, Jan? It's just trying to get people lined up, especially have multiple people in a meeting. And so today I'm going to kind of show you 3 different ways that we use to leverage the MS365. So we'll talk about bookings, FindTime, polls, and then personal assistant Cortana, and then wrap up. So I want to start with kind of the big picture. You may have seen this before, but this is if you have Microsoft 365, this is what you're buying. Everybody that has it, buys it, gets the Office 365, right? You know kind of what all those are. Many of those things you recognize, I would imagine. But you also get email and calendaring. So Outlook, bookings, FindTime, Exchange. You have capabilities in teamwork, collaboration, meetings, and voice. The ones with the star here is you have to pay extra, but if you're using Teams and Yammer and Kaizala, Microsoft also has a business voice that or voice over IP phone systems. It has file storage and content capability, OneDrive, SharePoint, Stream, and then task management, all of tasks by planners, to-dos, forms, lists, customer voice, and mileage IQ. These are all things that are tracking your task and activities. What you also have is the workflow and dynamics piece, which is Power Automate, Power Apps, and Power BI. And also you have access to Dynamics 365. And then the latest version of what's coming out with Microsoft is the social learning and personal assistant modules called Viva. But prior to this, it was called Delve, which was kind of Facebook for business, Cortana, which we're going to talk about today, and then My Analytics. And Viva is basically they're wrapping up and pulling all of the social learning and personal assistant types into one thing with connections, talking about culture and communications, insights, it's productivity and well-being. How do I manage my staff and make sure that they're not getting burned out? And then topics is more, how do I connect people to content in my organization? And then learning is exactly that. Microsoft has purchased LinkedIn Learning, and it's basically how do you do just-in-time learning in your organization. So today, those are all the things that you have available to you with the Microsoft 365. Today, we're going to focus on these, the email calendaring, and then Cortana.
Hey, Walter, can I make a correction? Because it depends on your plan, right?
Yes, I was just going to get to that. So depending on the plan that you have, so if you have a business premium and above, you have access to all of this. However, if you have a business premium and below, you'll have many of this, but maybe not all of it. Okay, we typically recommend organizations have, especially key players, hire people in the organization, have the premium plan and above. Okay, but so meetings, effective meetings, and I'm going to start with kind of the easiest ones. There are kind of three ways to book meetings. First one is bookings, and if you haven't used this, so this is for the premium plan and above. I love this. It is basically, so here's my signature in my Outlook, but right down here, you can schedule an appointment with me. So if any of you have seen a Calendly, it's exactly the same. But you can choose what your times are, and what you're going to offer. But then your client finds a time and books a time, rather than you saying, "Well, how's that next week Thursday from 1 to 2 and 3 to?" You just say, "Just go ahead and find a time that works for you," and they click on that appointment, and what they get is something that looks like this, and it has your services. And you can customize this, and I'll show you this in just a moment. I have mine set up as, you want to set up 15 minutes with me, or a half an hour, or 1 hour. You select it, but then you can select the dates, and it will tell you which times I have available on those dates. And once you select that date, it just asks you for your email address, and then it will automatically then put it on their calendar and your calendar. So as I said, with bookings, it is the availability is, you can see that in the basic plan in the MS365, it is not included, but in standard, in business and premium, or the business standard, business premium, and then all the enterprise, it is included in that. So I'm going to switch over and I'm going to show you what this looks like. And oops. And everybody can see this? The bookings. Should be a teal screen. Jan, can people see this?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so you can see here, you can add a different organization. So if you have 2 organizations, you can add that. But then this is your home page, and it basically allows you to set it up. And here is the calendar. So this will show you when people have booked times with you. And then here is your booking page that you go in and you set this up. And it basically allows you to change your colors. And do you want a message? What do you want for your scheduling policy? Email notifications, availability, etc. So that sets up your page of what it looks like. Then you can also say, here are my customers, and then here is the staff. So right now, in this instance, I'm the only staff in this, and then you can then set up your services, and you can see with in each of these, you can say what the service name is. You can what do you want the default location to be, whether it be your office or whatever, and you can make it automatically an online meeting. You can buffer your times, which means I can add 15 minutes at the end of the meeting so that I can prepare for the next one or go to the bathroom or whatever. You can also set pricing if you want. If you are in the field of where you charge for your time, you can also set pricing. And then you can also add custom fields where they have to put in items. So you can see the default field is they have to put in their name, and I'm requiring that they put in their email address. But you can add other fields, like if you wanted to have a what would you like to talk to me about, or what, put in your questions. You can do anything like that. All right, so okay, and then you can see that you have you can set your reminders, you can set the notices. This is all customizable of what you want as your services. And then on the business information, if I click over on the business information, this tells me when I'm open, when is it okay to book times with me, and then setting up your logo and policy, etc. Extremely easy to set up. I probably set this up in about 15 minutes. And now I have the capability to send anyone or a link to say, go ahead and set up a time for you. Okay, so let me go back to the PowerPoint. Everybody can see that. That is bookings. Highly recommended, especially if you are working with lots of different people. What I've found is, you just sending them a link, send them an email and say, or they say, hey, I'd love to book some time. When are you available next week? I just say, please find a time that works for you. And I copy and paste that from my signature line, and they're off and running. Okay, that's bookings. Next one is FindTime. This one, I love this. If you do Doodle Poll, it's the exact same thing. But it's the Microsoft version of it. And what FindTime does is you put in, you do like you would do any other meeting. You can do it in meeting or in an email, and you put in the people's name that you want. that you definitely want at the meeting that are required. You can also put in the optional. And then over on the left hand or on the right hand side, so you can, and I'll show you this in a bit, you can say find a time and you can change the duration, etc. And then you put in, you go through and you click on the days that you want and the availabilities. And so then what happens is it produces a poll that has all of the required people in it, and then it will put them in the required time. It will give them access to that poll, and then they go in and select the times that they like. And so then you just send that poll, and when everybody has responded, FindTime will automatically send an email out to everybody that when they have responded, and it will just put it on their calendars. Okay, let me show you that one. Oop. And oops, here we go. Let's go to, oh, wrong one. Okay, everybody see this? So I have this set up, and normally when I send a FindTime, I say action by a certain date, because I want them, they have to respond to the poll, otherwise it will sit in somebody's inbox. I'll say action by a certain date. Let's find a time to meet. Please respond to the poll by 5 o'clock. And then I have this set up where in my, this is an email now. I can do the 3 dots, and I have my, this is called FindTime. This is a app. It's an app that you can download from the Microsoft Store, and I do new meeting poll, and it goes out and it is pulling off of that third-party app. And you can change the time here. So I'm going to do a 45-minute, and I want it during work hours. And so you can see it has 3 people in it. It doesn't know the other 2, but it knows my schedule. And you can see I'm not available on Wednesday, the 16th at all. That's because I got a busy day. So the little green here says, oh, you got a couple of times available. So I click on that one, and I'll take the 11 a.m. and let's go to 2 o'clock on Friday. And I just hit next and add to email. And there it is.
Walter, why was there a purple guy? There was a red and a green and then a purple. Do you know why?
Tentative.
Oh,
yeah.
Tentative.
Yeah, it was tentative on my part.
Cool.
So now, if I send this off, you can see I've selected 3 options, 45 minutes, and then I just send this off to Jan and Nancy, and then they go and they're going to get an email, and then they vote. And when they vote, and actually, if you guys can vote, and go ahead and put it in. And then I get a notification when they do their times, and you can put in like my preferred. It's a little heart that says this is my preferred, and then you say yes, I can make this. Yes, I can make this. If you've run Calendly, it's pretty much actually Doodle Poll. It's very similar to Doodle Poll.
So I just want to add another thing there. So
yeah.
When I receive that email and I click on select options, it is going to open a web page. So it's not going to keep me inside of Outlook. It is going to open a web page that lets me vote, just like Doodle Poll.
That's a great point. Also, if you have somebody inside your organization, let's say you're setting up a meeting. I'm setting up a meeting with people that are inside my organization. So I want Bob and Jan and Sally in this meeting that I'm going to be with, and then I'm going to invite these 2 other people externally. It will automatically look at their calendars, and it will see, oh, I see that they are, I see that they when you go to select the times, it will give green when they are open also. It's very handy, especially with large organizations and you're trying to set up a meeting with an external person. Okay, everybody got that? FindTime, love it. Use it. I probably use FindTime 3 times a week. All right, now the next one is, hang on, Cortana. And Cortana, Nancy, can you think is there a red mark on my screen? You guys see that?
Yes, there is. You drew on it.
I did?
Every time you say Cortana, my Cortana pops up on my computer.
I love
Now,
it.
I just said it and she didn't hear me, but she hears you clear as a bell, Walter.
She hears, yeah, she's hearing Cortana. So what Cortana is, and Cortana is basically Microsoft's artificial intelligence. And it is extremely powerful. So if you have Alexa or Siri or it reads through all of your items and looks and it can help you schedule. So in Cortana's case, let's say I want to schedule a meeting with Brant and I've got 3 people here. I can say, Brant, great speaking with you. Let's set up a time. Let's set up a follow-up session. And then you type in, still seems to us neglected. Cortana just played a video, I think. So you can say at Cortana, and then it will come up with the scheduler. And then you just type in real language. You just type in natural language that, can you find a half an hour? Boy, I should change my, can you find a half an hour in the next week or 2 for the 3 of us to meet? And it knows who is in this. And then what it does is she will send an email to all of the participants that say, I get an email back that says I've received your message and I found some time on your calendar and I proposed 3 times to the other 2 people. So they get an email that says, Walter, or I'm trying to find a time for Walter Jankowski. He has these 3 times available. Please let me know which one works for you. And then you, as a Jan and Brant, would basically go in and say, I can make this one, I can not make this one, or you can either say yes, no, or you can say, you can delete out the ones that are not available to you. And then as soon as everybody responds back to it, she automatically schedules a meeting, and it puts it on your calendar and it puts on their calendar. And so you don't have to do anything other than just type it in, and she will follow up with them. She will remind them saying, hey, you haven't responded to this yet. It's extremely powerful. At the end of about every week, this one is Q1, and then every quarter, it will say, thank you for trusting me, making your meetings. And it will say, here's how much I saved you, either this week or this month or this quarter. And you can click in it and see the calculations behind it. And I'll tell you, with Cortana, I had a meeting that I had to set up with somebody that was in France and somebody that was on the West Coast in California, and myself, and then somebody else that was in like Oklahoma. And so 4 of us, and I was like, I am not going to do the math on this. And so I just said, Cortana, can you find a time with all of us that can meet during the work day? And if you know, there's only like a 1 or 2 hour window, and within a day, we had the meeting scheduled. Okay, so let me show you how this works. Oops, hang on, and everybody can see this? My email. So I've prepped this. Hey, let's meet, and then you can see. Can you help us find a time next? You just write in regular language. Can you help us find a time next week for 1 hour meeting with all of us, preferably in the morning? Jan and Nancy, please respond to Cortana by telling her which time works for you or deleting the ones that don't. And all I'm going to do here is at Cortana, and you can see it says Cortana schedule calendar help. It puts it in the to line, and I just send it off. And now they are going to get an email it's just going to look at my calendar, and then it's going to say, here's when Walter wants to set up a time. And actually, if you guys get that email, you're welcome to share that. So Cortana is also, so Microsoft has rolled out Cortana. I think she is, maybe 18 months to 2 years, and it's getting better and better. She learns from me and how I work. But the other thing that I love about Cortana is I get a daily briefing. And so every day I wake up and it looks through all of my emails, and I'm going to show you this. Let me see my Cortana. Oops, hang on. Here's my Cortana. Everybody can see this, right? This was my daily briefing from today. And you can go in and view all your meetings, and then it says, oh, it looks like you have a meeting. Here's a document that I found. Do you want to use that or open it? And you just click through and say, no, I'm done with that. And then, oh, I've got the CTC webinar. Oh, I can add an agenda. I can add this to Teams. Now here's one where it's looking at all of my emails that it looks like, it doesn't look like you have responded to them, or is this still open? And you can see here that one I completed. Maggie, you got a workshop kickoff tomorrow. Was this invite sent? Yep, that was done. And do you want to go to, yep, that one's done. So it will look through your emails and find things that might be that might still be open. And then if you say remind me, it puts it on your to-do task, and it will come up as a reminder, and it says, well, when do you want to remind me? Well, go ahead and remind me about that tomorrow, etc. Extremely powerful, because things don't fall through the cracks. I can go through this and go, oh shoot, I need to follow up with so-and-so or whatever. It'll be on this daily briefing. All right, so let me go back to my
Hey, Walter,
PowerPoint.
what was the email that you sent when you were doing the email at Cortana? Can you repeat what the email address was that you have to send it to?
If you just start at Cortana, it will come up with it. It will either be calendar help or support. And if you're in a meeting, or if you're in a meeting invite, it will be calendar support. But you can also do at Cortana, and it will be just support. Like you could do an at Cortana. Or what's the largest? Where is the largest ball of twine? Very similar to Siri or doing a Google request or whatever. It will, depending on what it is and where it is, it will know, oh, you want calendar support? It will automatically give you the calendar support, or it will take you to Bing or a search engine.
But when you're typing the email in, isn't it schedule@cortana.com?
Actually, no, I was able to just do at Cortana. I think it was just at Cortana. Here, let me go back to the email.
But that's because it's already in your address book.
Yeah.
So if it's not in their address book, they have to ask their IT department to add it. And I think it's schedule@cortana.microsoft.com, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point, Nancy. You might have to. I was working with my technical guy, and he just the first time I used it, he just said do at calendar or at Cortana, and then it showed up as scheduler or something to that effect. And I used it once, and then it put it in my contacts, and then I never had to do anything again. So you actually have to kind of engage it. And you can go look online of how do I engage it. And then you may have to, contact your IT department if not. If you have MS 365 and, probably higher than a family plan or something, if you have a business plan, it's available to you.
Awesome. So a couple comments, Walter. I have Calendly. So Calendly, I think, was one of the first tools that came on the market. And one of the things that Microsoft does very well is go, hey, that's an awesome tool. Let's mimic it. So I need to actually switch over. But it is interesting. And when your clients are rescheduling, quite often you're like, when you go through bookings, when they're rescheduling, they can just do that on their own, correct? Because that's how
Correct.
Calendly works. Yeah.
Yep.
So, cool.
Now, one of the reasons, that once you start getting into the Microsoft 365 family, if you have Microsoft 365, I always recommend to people, you already own it. Why would you go to a third party and then connect your calendar to a third party? And that goes not only for Calendly, it goes for Doodle Poll, it goes for Trello, whatever. If you're going out to a third party, most likely you have the capability within 365. And once you're in 365, everything talks to each other. Cortana is not going to go out and look at a Calendly, right? Yeah. It's not going to go out to a third party, where it will in your stuff.
Yeah. So one of the things we observe a lot with clients is there's certain apps within 365 that you can play around with and tinker, and you can't get into too much trouble. And all of these apps fall into that space. So go play with them, experiment with them, tell your friends and colleagues about them. It's when we get into how do you set up a Microsoft team, or how do you set up a plan, we often see our clients needing a little bit more help and guidance, but go crazy on these for sure.
Right. One thing to add, Jan, with that is if you want to go play, just in your upper left, so if you're in your Microsoft Office or wherever you are, in the upper left, there's the waffle. Just click on that and you'll see everything that is available to you. So here is bookings. And if you don't see it, you can go to all apps and you can actually go and see what is out in the Microsoft Store, and you can add apps like FindTime and things like that. Nancy, I noticed that you said do you want to read that one off? Somebody had a question about, I don't see FindTime.
Right. Yeah. So one of the questions, if you're not following along in the chat, was where is FindTime? So if you want to find FindTime, go into your Outlook, click on File, and then you'll find a Manage Add-ins. It takes you to the web, and you're able to search and find time and add it to Outlook. Now, I'm going to put a caveat on there. If your organization has locked you down and you are not able to add add-ins, you may need to reach out to your IT department and ask them to allow that add-in and add it. And then it will show up in your ribbon inside of Outlook.
It is a Microsoft-sponsored app, so your IT shouldn't say no to that, because Microsoft has partnership with them, and actually I think they own them, so it's not like you're getting some malware installed on your machine.
Right. And the other question that was asked about FindTime, it puts hold on your calendar. So those 3 dates and times that Walter selected, if he were to pop over to his calendar, it puts holds on those and marks those as tentative on his Outlook calendar, so that if somebody else is going and utilizing then his bookings, they won't book over top of the 3 times that he sent out. Microsoft does also recommend not more than 20 times available when you go ahead and send out a FindTime poll.
Please don't do that. When I get one of those emails and it has 45 options, that's going to take me an hour to go through and cross match mine. I normally send no more than 7. I mean, if you can't find a time in the next 2 weeks for, in 7 options, boy, somebody's calendar is really booked.
All right, let me go ahead. I'm going to wrap up the last couple slides, and then either Nancy or Walter, you guys decide. Let's go through the chat because there were a lot of questions and answers going through there. But let's go through and make sure everybody's caught up on that. So just a little bit about CTC. Often people think all we do is 365. So just a little clarification. We definitely do a lot with 365. Our approach is very different than other companies. We don't tend to recommend technology just for the fun of it. We tend to look at how do we look at your workflow and look at where there are gaps in your workflow, typically in the way you communicate, collaborate, and where does technology fit in there to eliminate waste. So think of the work we do as very much like Lean Six Sigma on the manufacturing floor, but we do it in the office environment. We also help create a lot of metrics and ways of keeping track of great information within the company. And then we also do a lot of training, one-on-one coaching. Go ahead and change the slide, Walter.
Sorry about that.
So that's okay. Yeah, coaching, training, public speaking on a lot of topics, typically around the technical space, but also in leadership around how to be an effective leader, like how to delegate effectively and run an effective meeting. So a little bit about us. At that point, we're opening up for Q&A. So Nancy, since you've been answering, do you want to just go back to the top and let's just go through it quick? Would that be the best thing?
Sure. We've covered several of them. So one was, where do you find the FindTime add-in? So walk through that.
Okay.
Another question about that was, is it internal or external? You can use FindTime and Cortana and bookings for internal or external. You can send your colleagues over to bookings if if that's easier for them than looking at your calendar inside of the company. So that I think goes everywhere.
Nancy, I would, if it's internal, if it's just a different department, you should have access to see, you should be using Outlook capabilities, because you will see their calendars, whether it's blocked off or whatever, but you wouldn't need to do that if it's all internal. This is just if you need somebody outside of your organization to join a meeting.
The Cortana link is Cortana@scheduler.ms. So if you start a new email message and you type Cortana@scheduler.ms, then the Cortana scheduler will take over for you. And I think then we're kind of down to some new ones that came in. And I think Melody is asking, could we use Teams for this meeting or Zoom better? If you're talking about the training that we're doing, we have chosen consciously to do Zoom because there were so many people. I think early on in the pandemic, Jan, we didn't want to, jump right into the team space, but that certainly is something that we have put on the, let's take a look at in the future. So we may change these over to Teams meetings, but we certainly could use Teams meetings, and they just came out with a new Teams meeting, which is actually webinar features. So we may potentially move to that.
Just a quick comment. When we were starting them, we also wanted registration feature, and I don't think Teams had any of those features in there yet. So.
Right, and the new webinar, Teams webinar, has registration features, so that's very cool.
Yeah.
And then Kathy asked, Walter, when you said remind me tomorrow, where does it show up on your to-do list? Can you show that part?
Let me go to my
So I know one of your options was add it to your to-do list, but when you said remind me tomorrow, does it add it to your to-do list as well?
So yeah, can I, you guys can see my screen, right?
Yep.
So here I open link in new tab, and I'm going to my to-do list, and I believe I can't remember what I added, but I added.
Oh, don't you love our multi-factor?
It's going in. And so here are, let's go see where, so these are all my flagged emails. This is what's planned. And let me
I think it's that tomorrow one. You asked, can you see if there's another report that can be run? I think it's the one that's on tomorrow there.
Where's the tomorrow?
To the right,
Right there in the middle of your
earlier,
screen.
tomorrow,
Yeah,
later,
that's the task.
the second one down.
Got it. Oh, it was covering, yep, the second one down. So it was, yeah, it was covering my Zoom was covering. So then I click on that and this is what it added. And then you can go into Open in Outlook. But this is how I manage, you know, like I'll keep a list of all my tasks and here's my flagged emails. Notice that I have a lot here because I converted from Google Calendar. I switched over from the G Suite and you know, I normally don't like to see 1,200 flagged emails, but the ones that are, I only manage the ones that are up at the top. One of these days I'm going to go through and clean all those up.
And if you want to know more about the To-Do app, we did do a session and that is out on Jan's website on the To-Do app. And I'll put that out here. The link for the past recordings, and then I'll put the other 3 links, the future webinar signups, as well as signing up for Jan's newsletter.
And does anybody have any questions? We don't have to do it all.
Yeah.
In chat. If anybody wants to unmute yourself.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other questions? All right. Cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Walter, nice job as always. Vance, you're awesome. Sidekick there. If nobody has any more questions, thanks for the thank you, Jennifer. Take care, everybody.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks.